This daf Yom Yerushalmi Eruvin, the article Ozva Hadashin Daf Samach Beis Amav at the Mishnah Halacha Dalid, and in the Vilna that's on Daf Nun Zayin Amud Beis Halacha Dalid at the Mishnah. So Chatzah Shnivitzah Mishnei Ruchos. You have a Chatzah which is busted open on two sides. Okay, so it's according to Yerushalmi Bavli, it's not put down the Yerushalmi. According to the Mishnah Bavli, it's open to the Chodesh Sarabim. That's why the Perish Chai has the Chodesh Sarabim in front. Chatzim b'shtei ruchos, b'chein bayish nifratz shtei ruchosav. So the house is just busted on two sides. Chein mavi shnei l'koroso l'chayav, or a mavi from which the korah lechi is missing, and happen on Shabbos. All these things happen on Shabbos. Mutar b's Shabbos, that Shabbos they remain permitted. But certain laws will have forbidden future. Tivra Rabbi Yehuda. Yosem mutar b's Shabbos permitted on that Shabbos. Mutar laws will have permitted for subsequent Shabbos. But certain laws will have forbidden on subsequent Shabbos. Certain laws of Shabbos, or forbidden that Shabbos as well. So Korban Eda says, "Gemara Farish Rabbi Yossi Machmir Shem Shesron Laws Love Kach Shom Yom." So they're forbidden for the subsequent Shabbos. They're forbidden for the Shabbos as well if it happened on Shabbos. Okay, so I'm going to ask, why do you have a problem just as nifitza on two sides? It sounds like the problem is basically with Karen Zavitz, the opening at the corner. Even on one side, it should be a problem. V'lo Ravi is not going like Rav. Ramar Chutzah Nitesh B'shtei Pasim. The Chutzah is permitted with two Pasim, and now you're missing a Pas. So you only have one Pas, so it should be a problem. Same problem. Just like Lechi, Mavich Lechi fell off, a Korah fell off. Same problem. Now, the question could be asked, even not going to Rav. You know, the Chutzah needs only one Pas. So still the question would be, well, even though it's on one side, not on two sides, it's nifitza, you're missing a Pas. So Reb Chaim says, I'm not sure, I guess it's the Chomer Inyan, he says that a stam nifritza means that it's chaser one of the chayim, not both chayim. So if we want to ask according to Rav, who says need two chayim, if it's nifritza miruch achas, you're missing one of the chayim. It's true, you have one left, but you need two. So according to the Mandam argues on Rav, it wouldn't be a question. That's why it has to be b'shtei ruchos, because you're left with a pas. I mean, ruach achas wouldn't be a problem. We have a pas on that pure tzar, it's okay. But according to Rav, it requires two pasim, so therefore, if it's nifratz, and you're missing one pas, so that's a problem. Why is that to be nifratz mishtei ruchos? Why is Mishnah specifically about it's nifratz mishtei ruchos? So where it says, you know what, you're right. The reason why we learn the Mishnah this way is specifically because we're talking about where enough pasim remain, and that even still, we're saying that it's a problem because of the Karen Zavis. So, the way to learn the Mishnah is subject to machlokas. It says one pass suffices. Here, because once the pass remained, the pass remained. The problem is because of Karen Zavis. Who said you need normally two passing because they passing two passing remained. But since you have pass of Karen Zavis, it's a problem. The two passing are not going to do any good. That's where it comes. Also, the question whether he aims much of this for that Shabbos or even also for this Shabbos. Now, according to Korban Eda, it's a real conventional case. You have a pierce on one side and it has gifufim. It has still sides to it. So therefore, it's mutter. It remains mutter. And Korban Eda does not distinguish whether it's more than 10 amos or less than 10 amos. So I'm not sure, according to Korban Eda. It could be that the Kiddush is, no, not just where it's less than 10 amos, which would be Pasha, but even if it's more than 10 amos. So mutter kind of counts the Kifufim. But the plain Moshe and Reb Chaim learned that it's talking about a house. The Nifratz min emtza, a house, and it's even more than 10 amos. And the reason why it's mutter is because you can still say Pitikra. And the Kifufim are not because they're like Pasim, because they come in, right? And they make like passing on each side. No, which would be the way Korban Eda is evidently about Chotzer. No, it's because for Titikun you need to have walls that extend out towards to the end of the ceiling, the end of the roof, and these roofs they are up, come all the way out to the end of the ceiling. So therefore, the emtza here doesn't necessarily mean they're gifufim on the side, like Meir learns. The walls which extend all the way out to the front, to the ceiling, and therefore we could say pitikra, that the ceiling comes down, and it's like that, of course, works even if it's more than 10 amos. That's the one opinion. Shmuel Amar Aser. Shmuel says it's Aser. Now, Reb Chaim seems to say that there, even according to the understanding of pitikra, there are emtza means there are still gifufin. I'm not sure I need a gifufin to say pitikra. You just need two walls adjacent to each other. Here, certainly, we have three walls because we have the walls on the other side. So I'm not sure you would need a gifufin altogether. But I'm not sure. But Shmuel Amar Aser would be seems to indicate that we don't say pitikra. And Rabbi Zera said in leis hada ufan the Shmuel, the Yerushalmi says it should be changed, even though changing is the same as if you change it. In leis hada the Shmuel ufan, unless Shmuel learned this as a Messiah from his Rebbe Kasha, it's difficult how he got this from his Misvara, because even Nivratz also ruach. Even you say the entire ruach is nifrat. So I guess that's where Reb Chaim Taka got it. He's saying the Gemara itself is asking, you don't even need gifufim. They don't need gifufim because even nifrat calls a ruach. Rabbi Yisrael Bun hadayach sadra. This is an achsadra. Ilo achsadra shamein muteres. Achsadra is mutter through pitikra because it has walls around the three sides, which are adjacent, and they're adjacent to each other. So the fact that it's open on one side fully, there's not a problem because say pitikra ever says him. So his house, even without the gifufin, that there be no gifufin. So then it still should be mutter on account of pitikra. The Chaim brings down in the first parak. In fact, it says that Shmuel holds by achsadra it's taka aser. He says by an achsadra we don't say pitikra even though it has three walls. But the more there says that a bias is different, and even Shmuel is more than in the house. So therefore, it is difficult over here. Why it was not matir in this house over here because of pitikra. Okay, so but the more here is evidently a different taking a different tack. This Gemara assumes that even because Shmuel achsadra is mutter, and therefore was asking that according to Shmuel, this bias should be mutter, just like achsadra is mutter, and where does give an answer. Now, after I gave that whole pshat, I think I want to clarify I made a mistake. That is like the Pnei that pshat I gave was like the Pnei Moshe, but it's not according to Reb Chaim. Reb Chaim says that Be'emtza is talking about where you have pshat on both sides of the house, and it's like a chsadra mefulish, and because the openings on both sides, and they're that's the case that Shmuel answers in the first parak. Case that achsadra is mefulish. But achsadra has three sides. Shmuel doesn't answer that case. So that's what Reb Chaim is saying. Well, this seems to be going differently than what he said in the first parak. It's different sugi, or there's other ways of trying to resolve it. But the way the Pnei Moshe learns it, I don't think we have that difficulty. The way the Pnei Moshe is learning it, that means it's nifratz be'emtza on one side, and we're more than 10 amos, one line pitikra, and then the Gemara says, the Shmuel says you can't lie pitikra. It says, why not? Even if it's also ruach, it's fine, right? It's just like achsadra. That as long as the pitikra reaches the end, as long as as long as the side walls reach the end, they say pitikra, and well, it doesn't give an answer. Okay, and it's not in the first parak. It's nothing else. First parak is about achsadra, which is foolish. We're not about achsadra foolish over here. Okay, so therefore, we remain a question: why Shmuel would not be matir over here in this case? And according to the case of the house, also in first parak, it's not talking about the same type of case here. According to Reb Chaim, it is because it's about a house which has opening at two sides, but we are not talking about that here. According to Pnei Moshe, it's only on one side, and that's why we're not bringing the first parak's discussion, separate discussion. Shmuel's matir achsadra, Shmuel should be matir here as well. End of discussion, we don't have an answer. Okay, so it could be, though, it says, in leis the Shmuel ufan, it's kasha, but if Shmuel's ufan, so then it could be it's a special gzeira. In other words, ufan means he learned there was a special gzeira the Missouri has as a Xera that was Nifresh on Shabbos, even though normally it would be Mutter, because it came Nifresh and the entire side is open, even though you could say Pitikros, because of the walls are just still attack the side. They made it Takon, they said, no, you can't carry. Okay, now we come to a new thing. It goes back in the previous Mishnah. So, previous Mishnah, Rabbi Eliezer had said, when you have a Chatzah Shivitz Shus Rabbi Amachtis Tochel Shus Yor Shus Yor Tochel Chayiv, the Rabbi Eliezer. So the Gemara says on that, it's talking about Chatzah, which never Shus Rabbi. We had a discussion if it's talking about the Makom Mechitzos, it's talking about the Chatzah itself yesterday. So Rabbi Yechon, Rabbi Eliezer, El B'Chatzah Mamavi, which are Nifrat Shus Rabbi. Avo Bebayis, but with a house, Kigeshahu. It's like a bridge, meaning there's no such thing as Shus Rabbi Makureh. A bridge, under the bridge is also is a carmel. It's not even it's not Shus Yachin, because it has a roof. So if a house is busted open through Shus Rabbi, and the inside of the house never becomes like through Shus Rabbi. Okay. Going back to Rabbi Yossi in our Mishnah, who said if it's also next Shabbos, it's also this Shabbos. V'rab Rabbi Yechanan. So here in the Shina, so it's just Rav. It's a new thing. Rav Rabbi Yechanan Amru also ben b'Shabbos zu ben b'Shabbos haba. Yossi who answers, he wants to say, yeah, it's also next Shabbos, also the Shabbos as well. Okay, now we have a interesting discussion. We digress a lot. And Rabbi Yechanan said, Kusht b'kiruya umavui v'ger v'am oretz chamorim. In all these cases, which we are, we have to be machmir. So the Bnei Moshe says, "Kusht he kosht echam misamanei aktoris." It's one of the ingredients of aktoris. Kach shma b'laz. Okay. And now we're going to give the each one of the of these issues what they are. We are to machmir. So it's kosht. Now we learn hakosht v'achamos v'rashim samim l'kachim v'kesem meiser. Or the name says pergam bergimut uktina kosher chamos hu kinamon. Chamos is cinnamon. Rashim samim and types of fragrances. Kamoi goes a muscata, like the muscat nut. Chayotzibo v'tzia ha. I can't read my emotion here. Hati, I think it is. Bachiltis. It's interesting. The article, he puts the whole Mishnah into the Gemara. Yeah. I guess somebody puts it all in. Hakosh v'chamas reshim samim v'atia v'achiltis v'apilplim chalos harea. These, so he says, all these things are you're allowed to buy them a kesem meiser, kesem meiser. You buy them with meiser sheni money in Yerushalmi, with which you have to buy edible stuff. But on the other hand, they're not matami to masaychin. They're matami to masaychin. Divrei Rabbi Akiva. So the Rabbi Akiva holds that. That these types are not considered to be ocha for tumas oichel because they can't be eaten by themselves. So you're allowed to buy them for ma'aser sheni money because you could use them as spices, as herbs, but you can't buy them as a you can't they're not matami to oichel because they're only used as herbs, not as actual food, but as herbs. So ma'aser sheni, they're edible as herbs, so if you can buy them with ma'aser sheni money, they're not matami to masachin. Rabbi Yochanan argues. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says, even the kach kesem ma'aser matami to masachin. If you can buy the kesem ma'aser, it can be so the same lashon our Mishnah, right? Right. They're mutter this Shabbos, next Shabbos, this Shabbos, and the next Shabbos, also next Shabbos, also this Shabbos. So similar lashon. And here too, Rabbi Yochanan says micha machmir. So Rabbi Yochanan the kach kesem ma'aser. They can be purchased with meiser money. They're matami to masaychin. If you made matami to masaychin, then it can't be not matami to masaychin. Afim loichul b'kesem meiser. It can't be you bought the kesem meiser. So Rabbi Yochanan chamorim. We have to be machmir. and we assume they are metame tumas oichlin. That metame tumas oichlin. Oh no, they make it both ways. Tami tumas oichlin, they are metame tumas oichlin, which is the chumrah that direction. Then you call it kesem meiser, and you can't be purchased them by kesem meiser. Okay, so machir in both directions. Okay. Well, actually, that's what Rabbi. No, that's what Rabbi Yochanan is saying. Right. If the matami tumas, it's either. So this is. No, it's not Rabbi Yochanan is saying. He's saying that you have to be machir both ways. In our Mishnah, I guess there's only one. The chumrah is asavo shabbosos. There's no second chumrah, but there's two chumras in both directions. The one chumrah is that to say that it isn't matami tumas oichlin. The other chumrah is to say that you can't buy kesem meiser. Okay, next case, Kuruya. Before we're going to see the article, there's a whole discussion here. The distance work with Gemara, and the Bava Nida doesn't hold that way. Gemara says that this thing's not going to be food at all. Ben Chumra, and then the Shor Bataka asked, this is not consistent with our Mishnah, because in our Mishnah, Rabbi Yochanan says the dinim are equated, and there it's they're not equated, but he says basically what we said. In other words, okay, but there it's possible to be machar both ways. Here it's not possible to be machar both ways. In our Mishnah, there's only one way to be machmer, the aser, bo shabbosos. There's no second alternative chumrah going the other direction. Okay, so the next case, kiruya. Okay, so the Pnei Moshe is instructive here. We have a super chumrah by Paraduma. And let's see the Pnei Moshe. Kiruya, the Tiniyatamon, Parakeh, the Para. Kiruya, vid glass, Yibesh, it's a dry hollow gourd. Shavir mine, which you use to draw water. She'd be the mine, you toveled it. In water, shem ru'im l'kash b'em efer para water, which is ma'im chaim, spring water, which is used for the as a paraduma. V'hi Torah, and the Kriya was Torah to begin with. Umishum ma'ila ba'amos l'mechatas yitzchut, but they said Torah anyway because we're super machmir by the Torah of mechatas. We know because paraduma was then eventually done by the full yom. And therefore, they were super machmir of every other aspect of it. There's Lotzi Libon Shal Tzdokim, who thought it can't be done by the full yom. We did the final with the full yom, but therefore, we're so super machmir on the Torah of everything up till that final stage. Let's brings down here a lot more than we have in the Vilna, which makes it actually more confusing, I think. But because we just did what's in the Vilna without the article, we just do with the Pnei Moshe and be much more straight. But anyway, he has here. So you were tovel this kira in water which is right to be Mekadosh. You can use it in Mekadosh mechatos until it becomes Tameh. I'm reading the articles very good, Yosa. Nidma, once it becomes Tameh in Mekadosh, you can't be Mekadosh any longer with this gourd. Yerushalmi Eruvin betchila, if you're Mekadosh to begin with, Abasol Mekadosh also the end of Mekadosh. Mekadosh Basof, you can't be Mekadosh at the end, Aflo betchila. Regardless, you should not gather within my mikudashim. Okay, now what does that all mean? So I'm not sure. Again, as I said, I don't think the article sheds more light. The Pnei Moshe is very succinct and makes it work well. So let's read the Pnei Moshe. Mekachim ba. So we're making inference here. You can use it you can fill the water up with this gourd. It's Torah. You can use it to fill water up from the spring. But afterwards, you can afterwards you have to put the mechatas in another keli. You can't leave it in that gourd. Because the water in which you tovel this gourd, even though the gourd was tor, no tin whatsoever, the water in which you tovel the gourd gets absorbed in the gourd. The yotzim is arve mechatos, and they're going to come out then, and they're going to mix up with the mechatos, the postimasa, and then apostle it. That water became the apostle b'melacha. It was used to be matbil the keli, even though kli was tor. The other hand became actually tamei. And then you were matbil it. You can't use it to collect the water to then put it into another keli. Because because the tummy water which got mixed in initially will get absorbed in the sides. That water will come out and get mixed in with the water which you're mekadesh in the gourd. So if it came mamish tamei, you can't use it to draw water. But even you toivel afterwards, because the water seeped into the walls. But if never was tummy, you just toivel it as a ma'ila ba'alma, because it's paraduma. And then you can use it to collect the water from to scoop up the water from the mayan, but you still can't be mekadesh the mechatos in it. You have to be mekadesh mechatos another keli because of the mikveh water, which could be absorbed, which you did malacha with. It looks like a malacha because you're toivel you're toivel keli. So and this we should probably cause them. It says if you use it to scoop up the water, use it also to hold the water, because it's obviously uses to scoop the water. It's tar, so why can't you use it afterwards to hold the water? If you can't use it at the end because it's no good, because it's like as if it's done malacha was done with it. So you shouldn't be able to use it at the beginning, because it's going to passel what you're scooping up. So how can you distinguish between the scooping up and the actual mixing of the ash, the actual using that water to mix the ashes? If you can't use it to scoop, you shouldn't be able. If you can't use it to fill up the ashes with the water, you should be able to use it to scoop. If you use it to scoop, you should be able to use it in order to fill up the ashes with the water. So Rabbi Yochanan says, we pass Rabbi Yeshua mer machmir. You can't use the last, not at the beginning, not at the end. Can't use the last, can't use anything absorbent for this purpose. Okay, because the water which might seep out, and again, if the gourd is tar, it's only chumrah, but nevertheless, you can't use that gourd. Okay, next case is our case. Ger. So what's the case of a ger? So the Tani we learned in the Tosefta and the Avodah Zarah, Keshes got a Yenos, a ger who was Megayin had wine. Normally barley nasech. It's clear to me they were never used for the purpose of nisuch. Mine. So what's the stats? It's match nasu a gav atzman. So the Korban Moshe explains, Shoya mishamon bishul atzmo. He was safeguarding them for himself. To horin low. They're Torah for him. He's believed for himself. Because he had a mind to be Megayer. Mistama, Hayim. We assume he was a Shaman then properly. But he's not believed for other people. Okay. And if he did, it was Misham them not for other people. He made them for the purpose of selling them to other people, not for himself. He's not believed for himself. So Akiva says, if it's believed for himself, to say he was showing it properly. So then you turn the should be taught even to say he was making for other people, but he was making sure it wasn't his nasa. In Tameim Lachem, if it's tummy for other people, Tameim Lo. And if it's tummy for other people, because it's not trusted because it had a mind for other people, it shouldn't be trusted him for himself. The pain lo, it's his main pain lo bein lachem. It's tummy both for him and for other people as well. And the case of Amoritz is a similar case. The case of Amoritz is Amoritz the Tani, Amoritz Shendismani Yoschover, and Amoritz who's now been appointed to be a chaver. In other words, he went from not being believed into Mantara, and now he's believed into Mantara. And he had Taros which he had from before he became a chaver, but he was in training to become a chaver. But I said, it's clear too. It was these Taros will keep the Kevtar. So I saw Gabi Atzmo when he did it for himself, and he knew he was trained to be a chaver. Torah slow, they're Torah for him, but Tamei Lachem, but they're Torah for other people. He only trusted for himself. And Lachem is doing it for other people. Tamei Bein Lo Bein Lachem, they're Torah may both for him and for others. America says in Torah slow, Torah Lachem. If you trust him, you should be trusted no matter who he was praying for. You're trusting him. In Tameos, if they're Tamei Lachem, Tamei slow, they should be Tamei for him as well. the machmir, Tameas bein lo me'achem, since he made them at the time, which just like the Karen made the wine was still a goy, the Amoritz, his Taras is still Amoritz was a chover. He's not believed afterwards to say that they remain tar. We assume that they're tamei. Okay, and that's it. So we got to the bottom of the Amud, so we'll stop here for today.